knew that there was an armless baby boy on the way until I was born. You know, I did all the other things that kids my age did. Went to normal elementary school, went to normal classes, did my ABCs like all the other kids did. I had a super normal childhood. One of the words that I wasn't allowed to say in our house was, I can't. It was a little bit of a struggle trying to make toes do what hands were meant to do, but man, we were able to find a way. I think I was eight, 9 years old. We're in Disney World. We wanted to stop and get some ice cream, and so I was like, I'll go get a picnic table. And so I went and sat down. I was waiting on my parents, and a kid a little older than me, he's probably 2 or 3 years older than me, he like comes up beside me. He's like, hey man, where's your arms? It's like, I don't have any. He's like, you're a liar. It's like, no, I'm not. He's like, you're hiding them in your shirt. I was like, no, dude, I don't have arms. And he just like kept calling me a liar, saying that I'm not telling the truth. I think that moment was just like this touchstone moment of, I'm not like everybody else, and everybody else knows it. I'm literally just this sort of lone wolf weirdo that I was, at least in my eyes, damaged goods more than anything. I think when I started to slip into just darkness and depression, all I saw was hurt, and I saw no solution. I really got to the point where I hated people because people judged me. I do clearly remember going, God, if you loved me, why didn't you make me like everybody else? I just felt like I was being crushed to death. Started to push people away, started to become just a hyper introvert. This kid that I went to school with, he's like, hey, you want to come hang out with my church? We're doing a dodgeball lock-in, which for like an armless guy, like that was poor judgment. You're like 15, lock-ins are the coolest thing in the world because you don't have to deal with mom and dad for a night. You can go drink like Mountain Dew and Red Bull. It's probably midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. The youth pastor gets us together, and it was just a super simple devotion. John 3, Christ came to give life and to life eternal, and he didn't come into the world to condemn it, but to save it. Threading it together with Romans 5, that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. And I remember sitting there in this gym and going, my biggest hang up with God is God doesn't love me because he didn't give me arms. And I'm sitting here like really starting to, I think, have the whole just perspective of the gospel starting to wash over me, in the fact that even when I absolutely hated God and questioned his judgment, was frustrated, he was pursuing me through the work of his son. And I think from that moment on, like that hard questioning heart, God broke, because he was showing me, no, I do love you. My entire life flipped. God has a plan for me, and I'm gonna go all in and just, trust in Jesus as my Lord, as my Savior, as my everything. And in just the days and weeks right after I was saved, to have that weight lifted was just something that breathed so much life into me. I'm not a mutation. I'm not pointless. I'm not broken. I'm designed. I'm a careful piece of God's craftsmanship. Like, so many of those things I hated about myself started to wash away. I was 16. It was New Year's Eve, Y2K, and this guy, he invited me to come speak at his youth group at like this big New Year's Eve lock-in. And I remember telling him no, no, I'm good. I appreciate it though. But he was persistent. He called me a couple more times. So I think you can do this. You just need to give this a try. And I'm going, God, like 8, 9 months ago, I hated people. I don't want to go out into crowds and teach people. Like, God, this is not a good idea. But I just knew the hope that I had now. And I knew I had to tell everybody I could about it. Finally, I was like, all right. But I just remember, man, that whole day before, like, I was scared. I was like sweating and throwing up, and like my heart was pounding. I was sitting here going, is this what it's gonna be like? Because this is awful. I remember afterwards, like sharing my story and having a few students come up and talk to me just about how like how God had encouraged them through my story, or just, what God was doing in their heart just as they listened. And I started to see that God's doing something here. And I just got to stay after this. God just continued to, I think, to give opportunities, both to succeed and fail, to learn. Because I started teaching and preaching at 16 years old, here I am, even though I'm 34, I've been doing this for 18 years.
Our people always ask me, how do I shave? And I go, I don't. Oh, yeah.
Only God can take an armless hermit and use him to go tell the world just about his hope. My wife and I, Heather and I, we've been married for 12 years. We've got 2 kiddos, a 6-year-old boy named Teague, 3-year-old girl named Elliot. And man, it's fun, it's an adventure. We love it. People look at me so many times and go, oh, you're such an inspiration. And I appreciate that. I really do love that. But I think more than anything, I want people to look at my life and to see how God takes broken things and unlikely people, and by his grace, he stitches them back together and uses them for his glory. And that people can look at their own lives, whatever their insecurities, their past, their baggage, their hang-ups, whatever it is. God in his grace and God in his power is bigger than that. God can take the most unlikely people. An armless introvert like me, if God can take me and use me to display his glory and to tell other people about what he's done in my life, God can take anybody.
Thank you.